Hello, creators. How are you guys? It's great to see you again and hang out with you again here for another 45 minutes, hour or so, as we talk about how to grow a business around your YouTube channel, how you can get more subscribers, get more views, make more money, ultimately so you can reach more people and change their lives. That's what we're all about here at Video Creators. And today we are going to be definitely diving into a lot of your questions about how do you grow a business around your YouTube channel. It's about anything from product creation to sales funnels to defining target audience, which we talk about a lot around here, and other things. We are looking forward to diving into that with you guys here. So if you are listening to the podcast recording of this later, we are live streaming this at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/video creators, which we do every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And so we'll be taking those people's questions and answering them the best that we can here for you guys so that you can move forward with growing a business around your channel and turning this into something profitable that's sustainable for you and your family going forward. So I'm excited to dive into all of this here today. If you guys are in the live stream, make sure you tag at Modern Day Tech. Eric is our moderator here today. So if you have any on-topic questions, tag him, and he will put them in front of Lennon and I. If they're off-topic questions like copyright issues or account access issues, or I don't know, anything like that, a little off topic, we're going to stick today to just talking about the business side, the making money side, the sales side of how do we make money on YouTube and make that sustainable for us. So make sure you are tagging Eric from Modern Day Tech. Eric, thanks for doing this. If you guys haven't checked Eric out, you definitely should. He's got a channel. It's all about helping you guys with the technology in your life, making it simple, knowing what deals you can get and what's the best options are for everything you're trying to figure out so that you can use the technology in your life to make things more simple and easy and less complicated. So if you can check out Eric at Modern Day Tech, definitely do that. Thank you, Eric, for being here and hanging out with us and helping us pull off this show. So if you guys got any questions, we want to focus on what you guys are working on, the things that you're trying to figure out. That's what we're here for today. So we don't have a whole lot of content planned up front. We want to spend as much time helping you guys out as we can. So have those. Tag Eric, Modern Day Tech, in the chat, and we will get to them soon as we can here. I feel like I'm a little bit in a different groove right now. Hi, Lennon, by the way.
Hey.
I was just coming off of a week of vacation, and I didn't go anywhere. Stayed home. I had my brothers, some family from out of town come over and stay at our house, and it was good. But I'm having a hard time now on a Monday getting back into the groove of things here. You just had vacation last week or 2 weeks ago, Lennon?
Yeah.
How did you do it? I'm in a funk.
Well, we were gone for a week. We left on a Sunday, got back on a Saturday night, and I was basically thrown into it because I had to do about 15 channel reviews for our Video Labs class. So I think I warmed up by just getting to do those kind of one after the other. It was but I remember the first one feeling really whoa, just brain fog. And
I just did a consultation. That's exactly how I felt. I mean, it was not a paid one, thankfully. It was a one that I was doing with just a friend of mine. And man, I'm I normally breeze right through this stuff. And right now I'm just kind of drawing blanks. I'm man. So
it's a muscle for sure.
I can't afford to take a vacation. Hopefully this podcast episode does not feel the same way for you guys. You're wow, I didn't really get anything out of that. Thanks, Tim and Lennon for wasting my time. So yeah, we'll hopefully make this more valuable for you. How have you been doing lately, though, Lennon? How you guys been? What's going on with you guys?
Overall, we're good. I was telling you before we jumped on that I had a fun thing happen over the weekend, and I had a not so fun thing happen where the fun thing, I'll start with that because That is one of my favorites. So I had a consultation with a channel called Ting Man, where this guy and his daughter do Rubik's Cube stuff. And so and they're awesome. And so it was really fun. And he said, hey, let me know and I'll send you and your kids some Rubik's Cubes. So we got a package in the mail, and he sent like 6 or 7 different cubes, a bunch of different sizes. I'm not a puzzle guy, but it was really fun. So now I'm obsessed. I've mastered like the first 4 steps on this thing, and we're going to see what happens. But it's like I'm learning a lot about how I learn by doing this. And then yesterday, I was walking across my living room, and my daughter had left a scooter on the floor, and I slammed my toe into it, and I think I don't know if I broke it, but it felt like I broke it at the time, and my pinky toe was like out and all janky. So I'm limping around today, but most of what we do is just either sitting or standing still, so it's not a big deal.
I've broken my little toe a couple times. Not fun at all. So I did my ones right before a commencement speech I had to do at a homeschool graduation thing, which I know people are like, homeschool graduations, are those a thing? Yes, they're a thing. I had a homeschool graduation. For those of you guys who don't know, I was homeschooled my whole life, K through 12, and we homeschool our children now. But when I used to live in Minnesota, there's a homeschool like community that was having a graduation for their seniors, and I was the speaker, and I broke my toe half hour before going up there. So pulled it off. I don't think anyone noticed. So
well, let me tell you, I made a speech. All right. there was a speech. I think most of it would have been edited out. But
a speech about bicycles, a speech about your life, and what does this all come to?
Yeah, there was definitely a few choice words that we would have had to PG-13 at least. So.
Let's dive into a few of your questions that come in. You guys got some good ones here. The first one is from Artsy Cupcake. How to introduce a product but not be too salesy or pushy. I want to continue to give free info to subscribers, but would like to offer a product or a service too. So how this is definitely something I struggled with when I was growing video careers. Maybe I should offer some context before we dive into this question. So Video Creators is successful now. I mean, we've done over 17 billion views for our clients that we've worked with, all organically on YouTube. We've done YouTube strategy. I've done three strategy deals with Disney. We've done the Batman release for Warner Brothers, eBay, Budweiser, HBO, MTV, Twitch. Like YouTube themselves has put me on their stages to talk to brands like Levi's and Walmart and McDonald's and like all this stuff, right? And we've generated several $1 million in revenue, and I have several other online businesses too that I don't really talk about as much here, but they're a thing that my wife and I do, and those have generated significant income as well. And the hardest thing I think I had to learn, especially at the beginning, was how like selling feels like you're asking. It's too big of an ask. It feels pushy. It feels salesy. It feels like you're just trying to extract value out of people. And really all you want to do is to create like the reason maybe Artsy Cupcake that you're creating content in the first place is because you really want to give, like you said, continue to give free info. Like you want to help, you want to serve people, but it's really hard to figure out how to do that and still make money at the same time. What do I sell? What do I keep for free? So this is a hard thing for me to learn. And I know, Lennon, you work with a lot of artsy people. Is that artsy? Is that an appropriate word to use for them? Artists.
Well, for her title, I'd say so. Yeah.
Artists. What advice do you have for her? Then I'll throw a few thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think for most creatives, but definitely artist types, definitely. And forgive me, Artsy Cupcake, because I don't know what your whole situation is as far as your channel and what you're offering. But most of the time, the thing that I see is that people are the most concerned with feeling like either people aren't going to pay for it, or like they're just not sure how to position it. And I think the best thing you can do is offer something that is either really helpful to you or you've seen it help other people. And so, like for me, we're working on this. I'm working on this for my own side business. And then I'm also doing this with my wife. And the big thing we did is I just said, okay, let me pick 5 or 6 people and I'll do this for free with them just to try it, or charge a reduced rate for it and just try it out and see what happens. And then once that happened and I had a bunch of people say, oh my gosh, this was really great, then it no longer felt like a sale. I was like, oh, and I just asked them, like, would you pay for this? How much would you pay for this? What would you expect? We're doing the same thing with my wife. And when you get that feedback of, holy cow, this changed the way I do this, sales shouldn't be something that feels weird. It should be just an offer that we know is going to serve our audience really well. And 9 times out of 10, if we don't do those kinds of things and package them in some sort of payment situation or try to charge for it, they're just not going to get the same value from it. They're probably not going to put the same work in toward it, and they're probably not going to value it the same way. And so, as far as like not being too pushy, just keep it simple. Like when it makes sense to talk about it, talk about it. If it makes sense with the content that you have, then put it out there and say, hey, just to let you know, if this is this thing you're struggling with, I have this thing that solves that problem. It doesn't need to be some big billboard and like a Better Call Saul situation. We can do it in something that's a lot more just natural to us and conversational in that way.
I think the big switch happened for me mentally when I started seeing that the thing I was selling was changing people's lives and making a big impact. And then I started selling differently. It was a little less like, hey guys, please don't get mad at me, but I do have something you could buy if you want to buy something. Instead, it was more like, if this is a problem you're facing, you're trying to overcome it and you're struggling, like this is exactly what you need. And I saw way differently. It's a little less of like, hey guys, I want your money, and a little bit more of like, you need this. This is exactly what's going to help solve your problem. Maybe we can give people a little example here, because I went out of order for our normal episode and skipped the creator spotlight. So let's let me. Here's what we're gonna do. Artsy Cupcake and the rest of you guys who are listening is I want to give you guys show you how we sell as a practical example right now. And what we're going to do.
That was smooth, by the way.
That?
That's a smooth transition.
I was thinking about that the whole time you were talking. Like, how am I gonna? I need to make a transition here. But I think it's gonna work out pretty well, because what I want you to do is pay attention to, does this sound pushy to you? Does this sound salesy to you? Or is it still selling, but with value? And the value could just be encouragement or motivation, or I feel like this is possible to do. I didn't think this was possible before. Anything, right? So what we do here on these episodes and live streams, as you guys know, the little creator spotlight, we just take someone we've been working with, whether it be in a consultation or through 30 Days to Better YouTube channel, or Video Labs or something, and we just introduce them to you so that you can hear their story, hear a little about what they're up to. And so they get some exposure, they get some promotion. You hopefully get introduced to a creator that might be creating some content that's really valuable and important for you. And then you get to hear a little bit of their story. And it's not just like sales, but it's like, here's the success we're having. Yes, it was through some sort of service or product with video creators, but we always turn it around to be like, here's the value that you can also get from it. Like, here's what they did, like practically to help you guys. So it's not just about selling, it's about still offering value. So let me give you guys a little example of that. And we're going to introduce you to a guy named Tetsu. Do you want to set up Tetsu at all?
Sure. Yeah. So Tetsu is one of the members of our community. He came in through doing 30 Days to a Better YouTube channel, which is our entry-level course. And inside of our community there, I just reached out and said, would anybody like to talk about what they've experienced with the course? And Tetsu agreed to do that. He does a channel for multilingual children, or like teaching your children to be multilingual. Super cool guy. And so we had a little chat about him and what he's been learning.
Cool. Here's Tetsu.
Tetsu, tell us more about you and your channel and what you're up to on YouTube.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Tetsu Young. I run a channel about raising multilingual children, bilingual and multilingual children, because I have 4 kids and I'm raising them in 5 languages. And I've been tracking the progress ever since my first one was born 8 years ago. And it's only really recently that I started to pick up on YouTube. I mean, I had my YouTube account for forever. I used it as like a database. But I only picked it up last year around October-ish. But so kind of doing this really on the side and not seeing a lot of results for the first at least 8 months or so.
As you've been working through the 30 days process and, you know, implementing some of that on your channel, what kind of results have you seen so far? I mean, you sent me some stuff today, but if you can just express that.
Oh, so working through it, you feel things are starting to grow, and I mean you see the numbers, but I it's only since Lennon gave me the invitation to come on the show that I thought, okay, I'll really check the data, and it's just amazing what has been happening on my channel since I got the 30 days. I started on April, really like April, and I took about 6 weeks to finish it mid-May. And then the numbers have just been amazing, because since last year when I first started, I had about 550 subs or so. And out of those 550, 450 or so were gained since I got the 30 days. And that's, in the last 90 days. And in the last 30 days, so this last month, I had 250 or so. So it's really just climbing, and it's really amazing. So.
Well, and what I love about this, because you said it before we got on here, you're like, I don't have these crazy big numbers or whatever, but what we need to remind ourselves of often is like, it's not about crazy big numbers. It's about exponential growth. And that's why we do so much in like looking at actual percentages, because any great business is going to look at the percentage growth that you see, and it compounds on itself. And that's what you're seeing is these like compounded growth, metrics here that I think are super cool. You can't see the graph on the podcast, but it's just a straight line up. It's super cool.
This past 2 months, it's really amazing. And it's not like I'm posting every day. Like I'm doing really like 1 to 2 videos a month. But
that's so cool.
This 30-day thing for me, I think if there's one word to describe it for me, is subscribability. It really made my channel subscribable. That's how I feel. One thing I thought I loved looking at the numbers. I have 3,000 views, 2,900 views in the past month, and about 250 subs. That's almost 10% subscription rate. That's amazing. Like,
yes.
I mean, I'm sure it's not sustainable over years and years, but every 10 views, people subscribing. That's just, I thought deal. That's big, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, on average, we're seeing, like, we think 2% is really high. So so that's amazing. So, of the stuff that you've like done and implemented, what do you feel like has contributed the most results that you think might help a creator that's listening?
It's really bringing down the target audience and the value proposition. I think I thought I knew that, I thought I knew what my value proposition was, but the first, what was it? The first third of that 30 days was all about value, target audience, value proposition. I went through like literally every single extra, optional exercise. I did them all, and I really honed in on my value proposition. I thought I had it very narrow, but I think really drove it home with the process.
Yes, and that's like. Yeah. It's such an easy thing for us to feel like, oh, well, I know who my audience is. It's, it's people that want to learn another language. It's like, well, no, there's a lot more layers to that, and going deeper on that. Yeah. Really just, if that's the hard work, in the front end that most people don't do, that then makes the rest of what we do easier. And I think that's like such a cool thing.
I agree. It feels like I found the foundation of my house, and now I'm building the house with the videos that I'm creating.
So thanks again, Tetsu.
Well, thank you.
So how salesy was that? Was that pretty pushy? Did that feel like
I'm offended personally?
So you guys, like, that was just a quick little interview, and I'm curious for you guys who are in the chat if that felt too salesy or too pushy, or if it was like, no, I feel more energized, I feel more motivated. What I love about Tetsu's story is, I don't know when you recorded that, Lennon, but I went and looked at it a little bit ago, earlier today, and at that time you had like 550 subscribers or something. And how many weeks ago did you record that?
2 weeks. It was just maybe 2 weeks ago. I can't quite remember. Yeah,
he's at over 800 subscribers now. So
awesome.
So you talk about momentum, and you were saying about percentage growth and things like that is absolutely true. So we hope that telling these stories, it is like, just be totally honest, it is a little bit like, hey, 30 Days to a Better YouTube channel helped him grow. It unlocked his channel. He was trying really hard for months, not really getting anywhere. He started going through it, and now he's seeing exponential growth, a couple hundred subscribers in the past few weeks. And that trajectory is just going to keep growing for him. Right. So it's about, like he said, the foundation, setting that making his channel subscribable. So yeah, we pitched it. You go to videocreators.com/30 days in case you missed that part. You didn't now if you want to check it out. But I'm curious if the chat feels like that was too pushy. Let me see here. Oh, now they're saying the live stream is laggy. But most people are saying, like Artsy Cupcake is saying, no, not too pushy. You are pros. People are saying, love hearing his story. There was so much value. Mr. M says there's so much value in that. That was great. Yeah. Well, Randy's Adventure says, I did the 30 days course and it was an eye opener. So many valuable takeaways. Professor Slot saying it's a great course. So we have all these people who are like, wow, that was great. That was awesome. So I feel like sometimes when to kind of wrap up her question before we move on to the next one, is sometimes we feel like anytime we're going to ask for money, it's just a little hard. And I understand how that was, because in the beginning it was for me too. So, but the more you practice it and the more you actually believe in what you're doing and integrate it in still value driven ways, rather than like time out, taking a break from the value so that you can now have a commercial. That's like what an ad is. And we're not really trying to do ads. We're trying to integrate it naturally into the content in a way that's still valuable, energizes, motivates you guys. Is good for Tetsu. He's getting some exposure. Hopefully, there's a link to his channel in the show notes if you guys want to check it out. So yeah. All right. Anything else I need to say there, Lennon? Should we move on to the next question?
Let's move on. I think that nails it.
All right. If Lennon says we nailed it, then we nailed it. Got the next question here is from Pete. He's a staple here. It's good to see you, Pete. He's like, I think he's here for most of our streams here. He says, should I collect email addresses through the rudimentary tools built into my web hosting platform, or is there value in starting from the beginning with a dedicated paid email campaign service? I didn't even know web hosting tools had that built in, but I think I would not use it regardless of what it is. My thought would be to start with something that's pretty low cost, something like MailChimp.com, which lets you have 2,000 subscribers for free. Yeah, your branding is going to be on it, or their branding is going to be on it, and could be a distraction and things like that. But if you're just getting started and you're pretty price sensitive, which I would be too, I would agree, like, don't spend $1,000 if you're making zero. But you get started with MailChimp for free. They're not sponsored. We use ConvertKit. If you want to check that out, my referral link is videocreators.com/convertkit, one word. I think you get like a little discount or something by using that link. I think if two things for me. One is, yes, use something as low cost as possible. But number two is, don't go so low cost that you end up making a lot more work, or it doesn't work the way you need it to, or you start putting all these systems in place with automations and sequences and stuff, only to find out that now you need to move to a different service that will actually let you do what you need to do. And now you're just spending a lot of time. Instead of working on the business, now you're stuck working in the business and moving the list from that platform to that platform and copying those email sequences to there and making them, this doesn't work, it doesn't have the same features or whatever. I feel like it's probably like worth putting a little bit amount of money into this, because this is going to be one of your main selling tools. Don't put like a lot into it. And I like ConvertKit because you pay more as your list grows. So it's not like you're locking in $1,000. It's like, as your list grows, then you'll start paying more. But then you're saving a lot of time in the long run by not switching and having to redo things and canceling things. You'll waste a lot of time, and it's way more valuable to just spend that growing a business instead. So what do you think, Lennon?
Yeah, I would agree. I thought of it like when my wife and I have thought that we're saving money on something, so we buy the cheaper thing, only to find out that it took 2 or 3 of the cheaper things in the long run, when we should have just bought the more expensive one, and it would have been either the same price or less overall. And I think, to your point, like, email is such a big part of anybody's trying to grow a business that I think it's important to take it seriously. I will second the nomination on ConvertKit. I jumped into that as one of the things that I'm kind of splurging on for my personal stuff, and I love it. I think it's really simple. It's super powerful, and they seem to value creators a lot. So I think they're a great company.
When you spend money on something like that too, to me, it kind of like a kick in the pants. Like, I don't want to keep shelling out this monthly fee without monthly money coming in to replace it and above and beyond. So as soon as I start seeing that happening, I'm like, I need to get this going. So if you are serious about growing the channel and growing your email list, I would say it's worth putting the money into a more premium service, whether that be Active Campaign is another big one. ConvertKit. I think ConvertKit and Active Campaign are the 2 big ones right now. So another question here from Mike Phillips says, since we just passed delayed tax time, you have any best methods or software, etc., for tracking income and expenses? Hire an accountant, do it yourself. This is the non-sexy, boring part of being a YouTube creator and owning a business around it. Lennon, what do you use?
I've never been good at this. So the way that I do it is and we're changing some of this. So this year is going to be a little wonky, but my income situation has changed. But when it was just me working for myself as a contractor, I had a business account, and all exchanges came in and out of there that had to do with my business, which made it a lot simpler at the end of the year to go in and just look at that document and say, okay, here's what came in, here's what came out. For somebody like me, that was a game changer. And then we would also do, I tried to do like tracking receipts. Instead, I just never was very good at it. But any email receipts that go into my account, I immediately folder them into certain email folders so that I can quickly grab those for the end of the tax year as well. And then we hire somebody, because I've found that, the couple $100 or whatever that I spend on somebody, I end up making out a lot better than I would if I just did it all myself. So
it's exactly the same for me too. I remember beginning days of video creators, I was doing TurboTax or something like that, and I ended up owing like $14,000 or something. I'm like, $14,000? How do I owe $14,000 on the amount of money I made through this endeavor, which was not a lot back then. And I went to a friend of mine who is a CPA. He's like, let me do them for you. And he went through it and he saved me $10,000 that year in tax. I ended up owing $4,000. I was like, that was absolutely worth it. And so their firm now has actually been doing my taxes, and not just taxes, but accounting and tracking, and they kind of function as like my CFO basically here at Video Creators, even helping me with some of my personal stuff with like retirement and things like that too. So they're not sponsoring this, but if you guys, they work with a lot of top YouTube creators and stuff. It's midatlanticcpas.com. And if you go to the website, fill out their contact form and just tell them I sent you, they'll take good care of you. But I found that they're very reasonably priced and they just do an outstanding job. And they do like all of my forecasting for me. I meet with them once a month and they show me like, here's how you did this month. Here's where you're behind. We did a sale on something, Lennon, maybe you remember, on our high level client action plan stuff, and we discounted it as a beta, and it turns out like I discounted it way too much. They're like, Tim, you cannot discount it that much again. And I was like, oh, they showed me the math of everything I was missing. So they help keep our business profitable and on track. And so, yeah, they do a lot more than just taxes. But to answer the question in terms of methods and softwares for tracking income and expenses, the main software I would say I use is Expensify, and that's mostly just for keeping track of receipts. So I think it's probably just Google Expensify. You'll find it. I just use the free account. I don't pay for it. You can pay and it'll scan all your receipts and automatically put it into spreadsheets for you and all searchable. But my accountant at Mid-Atlantic CPAs has access to that. So she can just go through and get all my receipts and things there for the bookkeeping things. And then the only other thing I'd recommend here is a book called Profit First, which is by Mike Michalowicz. And what I like in Profit First is that he kind of shows you how to do a good system for growing a business that makes sure that it's profitable instead of becoming not profitable. Like most entrepreneurs should keep investing into their business more and more and more, and they never end up taking a paycheck and making it into something that actually covers their bills. So I just started using that a few months ago, his system, and it's been working pretty well for exposing a lot of the holes that like the accountants understand it and they explain it to me, but this has been like a very visual way for me to see it, which has been helpful. Question from Professor Slots. He says, any suggestions on getting started and doing well at offering a consulting service? Consulting service. We do a little bit of that around here. Do like a couple hundred of those sessions a month with different creators. Anything come to mind for you, Lennon? I haven't really thought through this one as much.
I mean, if you're just starting to offer it as a thing, something that I think can be valuable is it's sort of what we've been doing with 30 days. We were kind of doing the opposite before, where we would showcase people. So, I mean, in any sales situation, if you're trying to get somebody to buy something, if you can offer someone else's story of success, like a testimonial or something like that, that is always an amazing way. And so if you're doing stuff on obviously YouTube, things like that, you may post some videos of you doing consultations, like shorter versions of that. See if you can get some insight or permission rather to use some of your clients' content and post like shorter versions, and then do the same thing we talked about, where it's like, hey, this is something that I offer. If you feel like this would be helpful for you, then there's a link in the description or whatever. Just doing, letting them know you have it is really the hardest part, because we often just assume that, well, we got it on our website and things like that. That means it's good. But if you can give away value for free by showcasing someone else's consultation, people often get afraid and feel like, well, then you're giving away the information. But so much of consulting is not even as much about the information as how does that information fit with this person and their goals? And that is very different. Every consult, I may say similar things, but the way that it fits into their lifestyle and goal system is very, very, very different. And so showcasing that, I think, would be a good way to start.
Yeah, we definitely found that the success of a consultation is how you make people feel about the information, not just that you gave them the right information. Because if they feel good about it and they're excited and they're energized, then they are way more likely to go implement it and get the results that they want, rather than just be like, I got the information, but I'm not excited about it. They're probably not going to do anything with it. So that's a big thing. I think that this is, if you have any sort of educational channel where you're teaching people something, I think this is a great product or service to get started with, because yes, you're like selling your time, and some people don't want to do that, but I think it's very important, and we still continue to do it because, one, it's like they're going to pay you for you get to know your target audience better and for you to hear their questions and hear their problems and start noticing the themes that are recurring and keep coming up. And so it helps us stay in touch with you guys and having those regular conversations. And it helps us with our content. And then when we do go and create a product, it's more fine-tuned, I suppose. Like it's more aligned with what we know creators need and want right now, because we've been having all those conversations. So I think it's good from a content perspective, from a business perspective, from a helping people's perspective, a lot of different ways. So I would definitely, if you're like, if you're going to start with an online course, I would caution you to not do that, and instead encourage you to do just some hour-long sessions with your audience, because you also want to test, will they buy from you? You don't want to put all this money into a product and then it not sell, which is kind of what I think this next question from Dan Wiley. Is it Wiley or Willie? What do you think? I'm going with Wiley.
I don't know. I think Wiley would be my bet.
Willey. It says double L there, throwing me off. Let's go with Wiley.
Wiley. Maybe it's Wiley.
With digital products, there is no time lag to produce and no inventory issue. How to effectively sell a physical product that takes months to produce, where demand is unpredictable. And I think before you dive into digital products, you first need to really intimately know your target audience. And that a good way to do that is through consultations and talking with them a lot. And then you'll learn how to sell to them by that way too. And then by the time you then go to make your course or a digital product, you're going to make it way differently than if you just start right out of the gate like, oh, I'm an expert on this matter. Well, maybe you are, but it doesn't matter, because no one's going to buy it because you didn't address the felt needs up front, or you didn't, it's like you didn't do it right. So I think how to effectively sell a product that takes months to produce is, one, get to know the audience, do consultations, and then two, test it. Like where he says where the demand is unpredictable. If demand is unpredictable, you probably don't know your audience well enough yet. So, or it's like super niche maybe, and there's only like 5 people in the world who want that, which could be great too if you sell it for a price that makes it worth it to you. But you want to learn how to sell before you dive into it. So I would recommend testing the idea, whether it's through consultations or maybe just do, like if it's content, instead of doing the course, just do some like a paid webinar maybe for real cheap, and just sell the material that way. So you're not spending all this time producing and editing and creating all these systems and stuff, and then finding out no one wants to buy it. Like, can you just sell a webinar, for example, and then do it that way? So start small and then build. Otherwise you'll put a lot of time into something that doesn't sell. Any thoughts from you, Lennon?
So I mean, if it's something that's going to take a long time, the only other thought I have is like, don't be afraid to do it with your audience if you are getting that interest. So like what I did is I'm working on a course, and I just said, hey, I'm doing a free 5-day thing, come do this thing. I had a number of people show up, and then I just told them, okay. And yeah, somebody just pointed out, he's talking about physical products, but I don't know what.
I did skip over that pretty quickly.
Yeah. So then if it's physical, like if you don't, it's kind of the same, like 4-Hour Work Week. What's his name?
Tim Ferriss.
Yeah. So he talks about, setting up, you have the options to set up like pre-sales. This is where something like Kickstarter can be good, because you can do a Kickstarter account and say, hey, we're only going to sell these things if we get this much demand. My wife is releasing a book that she illustrated with another gal. And this is exactly how they did it, is they said, okay, well, we don't want to spend a bunch of money up front. So they put it out to their audiences and said, hey, you know, here's what we want to make. Here's the vision for what it is. We want you to be a part of this, and we want to see what we can do. And they ended up getting all of it funded and then some. And that's allowed them to now take that money and make the product that they actually want to make. And the audience has been in the process the whole time and really been involved, and they've loved it. And so what's really cool is just now, like, we haven't really heard anything for like a little over a month and a half, but just yesterday they heard they were going to get that. They got the first proof of the book, and it looks beautiful. They shared that with the audience, and everybody's excited. And so it's like, you know, everybody's cool with it. Communication is key on these things, like, you know, but I would say build the audience first, to Tim's point, even on digital products. Build the audience, check the demand, let them be a part of the process with you. And then don't be afraid to just keep communication open. People understand that you're running a smaller business. It's not the same as some Amazon situation.
Yeah, I like the way you test it. I think is still the same, whether it's Kickstarter, the way Tim Ferriss did it. He got the title 4-Hour Work Week by running a lot of Google ads and seeing which one got the most click-through rates and signups for an email address into like, hey, the book's not out yet, but you can sign up to get it when it comes. And so that had the highest success. So he tested a lot of different titles with ads before he even did that. I'm not saying everyone needs to do it, but the principle is the same, which is just test your idea, whether it's physical or digital, because either way you can put a lot of work into something and then it doesn't sell. We got Cantos de Cavarana. I think I messed this up last time, Cantos. I'm so sorry. How's your Spanish, Lennon?
Well, we did a consult together, but I still couldn't tell you how to say it very well. Of course, I wouldn't remember my kids' names if I didn't see them every day, so it's fine.
Well, he says, I'm developing a gaming channel, and I wonder how I can create a business strategy to make it sustainable. I think about affiliate links, but I would like to grow with other ideas. This is when it's really important that you understand who your target audience is, and you understand what the value is that you're delivering, and that you get people to consume that for free before you start diving into how do I sell this thing. Because I mean, if your channel is kind of small-ish, you haven't figured out how to get people to consume it for free, it's gonna be even harder to get people to buy it. And then that's when you're going to start coming across as like a sellout, or just like you're just in this for the money or whatever. Cause people are like, I'm not getting good enough value from you yet. I don't really want your stuff for free. Why are you trying to sell it to me? So, when I think about gaming channels, I think, and this is very general, you should need to work through this on your own channel, but I think my mind usually goes along the lines of community and or perceived relationships. So they could watch 1 million people play Fortnite, but they want to hang out and watch you play Fortnite because they feel like there's a perceived relationship there, or there's a community there that they want to be a part of. The community stands for something. It represents something. There's a belief or a creed behind it, or it's a type of atmosphere that they really enjoy, something like that. So that tends to I feel like has more to do with the relationships and community than it does like, I'm going to sell walkthrough tutorials, which you could totally do as well. Maybe. I mean, you can probably get a lot of that for free on YouTube, so that might not be a great idea. But maybe people want your walkthrough tutorial for some reason. You could do that. But when it comes to perceived relationships and community, usually what you're selling then is a brand. You could sell deeper levels of that community, which YouTube and Twitch and all of those places offer in terms of sponsorships or channel memberships or super chats or things you can feel like you're becoming a more ingrained part of the community with those types of means. Or be getting the attention of more predictably getting the attention of the person who's live streaming by putting a super chat in or becoming a channel member. So it goes back to the relationship thing again. But if you're thinking about like merch or something, what people are usually buying is what this community represents, what this is all about. So Logan Paul does a really good job. Love him or hate him, he does a really good job of like talking about being a maverick. And so when you buy a shirt, you're not buying a Logan Paul t-shirt, you're buying a Be a Maverick t-shirt because that's what he represents. That's what his brand's all about. So you're selling a little piece of identity that way. And people wear that shirt saying, I'm a Maverick. I'm going to be a Maverick in that regard. So what do you got, Lennon? Any other thoughts on that one? I feel like I just take over. Sorry. And then
no, it's fine. I actually don't have anything to add on that. I think, the main thing here, to your point, is like, if you're developing a strong enough belief system, then, you can start to build some stuff around that. I would look up just what are all the options that you have as far as like products that you can sell. I think we even did a podcast episode about that, like building out products. And we gave all the different versions of like physical products, courses, and all the different options that you have.
Yeah, cool. Let's see here. We got a question from Boone's Builds, if I can find it. He asked about the tax people, so we already did that one. And the reason I want to highlight Boone is like, Boone, you actually came up in a family conversation the other day because my brother was over here for they came a visit for vacation, and they were talking about TV shows that they like watching, and the Lego one that you were, so I forget the name of it, but I haven't watched it obviously. But Boone now I found a spoiler alert. He placed third, but my brother was like, he really should have kept going. And I was like, oh, I know that guy. Like, Boone? I was like, yeah, we've been working with him on his YouTube channel for like quite a while, actually, way back in the day, and now more recently hanging out here in this stuff. So yeah, so Boone, good to have you, man. I felt like I knew someone important when my nephews were all like, what, we love Boone, he's so cool.
Lego Masters.
Lego Masters, that's it.
And yeah, he says they actually placed second.
Oh, second. Never mind. Yeah, I didn't watch it, but
I need to watch that. I've been hearing good things. I think my wife brought it up because my daughters flipping love Legos. So
yeah. I was thinking, Boone, I should reach out to you and see if you could send me a little video clip for me to send to my nephews and become the coolest uncle ever. But in the meantime, let's actually help Boone. I have community members asking if they can support me on Patreon, but I haven't begun developing it. Any advice for starting? Well,
hold on. I want to squash this bug. Clifford said this must be pre-recorded. No, I'm afraid not, Clifford. This is live. We're as live as it gets right now.
Can't you tell? This would be way more polished otherwise. I would not be skipping things and doing things out of order and taking lots of pauses to find the next question. You have a lot of artists. I think a lot of artists use Patreon. Lennon, do you have any advice for them, especially for someone like him who's like, I'm just teaching people how to do cool stuff with Legos?
Yeah. So with Patreon, I'll say this. I think you need to just make sure that your return is going to be worth the time that you put in to get started on it. Because it may be as simple as saying, hey, I do have a donation button here that's available. Like, if you really appreciate what I do, you can Venmo me or PayPal me or something like that. Because I see some creators that are doing that and they're making money for that. So I think that's an option. But if you know that having a Patreon is going to take you a whole bunch of time and you're not going to make that much money from it, then I think I would just be cautious of putting a lot of time and effort into it. What I think Patreon is really good about is like people contributing to what you do. But what I think it's not really good about is like making a real income. I don't see a lot of people making a real income from it because the value of it is kind of low. People tend to be like, I'll give $1, I'll give $4, I'll give like $8, and seldom are people giving more than that. So you have to have a pretty substantial audience, which I'm sure yours is getting up there at this point, I mean, despite what Tim said, I think you guys should have gotten at least second place on Lego Masters. So, that being said, like, and Mary says, tell that to Amanda Palmer. Amanda Palmer is, she's like an enigma. She's not the, but I think Patreon is great. I think it's awesome. I think what we're at right now is that I just don't see a lot of people that are really good at giving the value yet that they can. Have a big audience, and then a bigger audience, take your bigger audience, see what you can do. Maybe just poll them and see what they would like. I think that would be a great place to start. Rather than feeling like you got to you've had one person say it, be cautious of that. Like, test the waters and see, like, would a lot of people do this, and then see what happens.
Yeah. Well, I have a whole playlist, actually, Boone. Anyone else who's interested, I'll put a link to that in the chat, or if you're listening to the podcast, it'll be in the show notes there. There's a playlist on building a community with Patreon, how to crowdfund with them. Those videos are older now, but I think a lot of those principles still apply. Just quick, let's see, 6 videos, all with people who are just killing it on Patreon. And I think there's some in there with Patreon people themselves, but I would encourage you guys to check that out if you're thinking about doing Patreon. And I know I was going to say, like, we also have some in-depth trainings for them, but I think that those are bonuses that we have with Video Labs. So Boone, I think you did Video Labs, if I remember correctly. If you did, go in, log in, you have lifetime access to the material, and it's all been updated since the last time you've been through it, because it would have been a while ago. So you can go through it again if you'd like, all the new material. But there's a bonus training in there, I think 2 actually, that we did with different Patreon employees who train creators on how to use their platform, and there's a lot of really good stuff. So if you're part of Video Labs, you can get that and go through that and maybe get some more insights from those guys. Question here from EDJ Fishing. At how many subscribers should one start to think about offering merchandise like shirts, hats, hoodies? I was thinking around 1,000 subscribers. Lennon, too high, too low?
I'll just say this. As a guy who's been in a bunch of bands, some that have been successful, many that weren't. Like,
come on now, you're an actual legitimate rock star.
Well, let's be real though. Like, there was a lot of stuff I did that did nothing, and so I had boxes and boxes of just merch that just sat there because it never sold. And so, I think in the beginning, it's always best to test the market and see, okay, again, these pre-order options are fantastic for this. So you can say, okay, I have a goal of selling this many, and then you put it out that way. I think that's a great option. Or you do like these prefabricated options, like you do, Tim. So what's the company that we use for video creators?
For Video Labs?
No, for the shirts and all that kind of stuff. A lot of creators use it.
Oh, Teespring is the one that's integrated into YouTube, but I don't use those personally. This nice shirt right here, this was printed by someone locally here in Cincinnati.
But Teespring, you don't have to have inventory. You can just order them online. There's a bunch of other options like that. So you don't have to hold the inventory at home. That's the big thing I would just caution people of, is that Shopify is an option. So just being careful with anything where you're going to have to pay a large upfront cost and you're not sure that you're going to get the return on it. And that's the biggest mistake I see people make with merch, is they get romantic about it and they think, I want a t-shirt. I want to make this thing. This is going to be so cool. Then 5 people buy it, and now their closet is full of a bunch of stuff and they haven't even made their money back. So I don't think there's a magic number. That's my point, is that I would just figure out a way to communicate that with your audience and see what the buy is.
It was several years ago that I heard Hank Green of the Vlogbrothers. He's one of the owners of DFTBA Records, and they do a lot of merch sales for creators and a lot of that kind of that same, like Teespring, but more like YouTube homegrown stuff. And I remember him saying a few years ago, or writing somewhere, that they have found that the largest channels are not the ones that move the most merch. It was actually the smaller channels tended to move more merch because they had a more intimate connection with their audience, and the audience was more invested into that creator's success, into their community. And so like the ones making the most money off of this type of stuff were, it had very little to do with audience size and much more to do with the intimate connection that they have with the relationship, like we were talking about earlier with those types of entertainment type of things. If your channel is EDJ fishing though, I'm thinking like, I don't know if merch would be where I would go, or Patreon. It sounds like, unless it's just a strictly entertainment channel, I haven't seen it, so I'm not sure, but if just strictly entertainment, it probably falls more in that relational category. But if it's not, and it's more on the educational side, there's probably a lot of other things you can do that would be far more profitable. Not because like there's something wrong with merch, but because it's more aligned with the value that your audience wants, which would be, I'm watching him mostly so I can learn fishing, or I can learn how to use this lure versus that lure, or how to cast or whatever. I'm showing my ignorance with fishing stuff, but so you'll sell the most when it's most closely aligned with the value that your audience wants, which is why we spend so much time, whether you're going through 30 days to a better YouTube channel, or even video labs, or a consultation with us. Like, we always start with, who are you going after here? Who are you trying to attract, and what value do they want to consume? How do we get them to consume that for free on YouTube? And then go into the business side of how do we sell that same value. So too many people, a huge mistake. I'm actually writing more about this right now for a free guide I'm going to give you guys. I think I told you about it the last couple episodes. I took off vacation last past week, so I haven't moved forward with it this past week, but it's going to be like, how do you create a product? How do you start a business around your YouTube channel? And in there, I talk about like one of the biggest mistakes that you can do is just jumping straight to product, thinking like, oh, I'm going to have a channel and I'm going to sell this, or I'm going to do Patreon, I'm going to create this online course, or I'm going to be a consultant, or I'm going to do this event, or whatever. It's like, don't jump straight to product. You really have to define value first. And then once you define value, then there's a process that will take you through in that free guide that'll help you then land on the correct format of product that you should sell, rather than just jumping to like something and then it doesn't sell. And then you also have this other factor, which you might have the right product for the right audience, they'll earn the right value, but you're not selling the value the right way. So it's still not generating sales. There's a lot of different, it's a lot of moving pieces to figure out here to make that work. So did we answer that question? No, he was thinking around 1,000. You said it depends. I think on average, you're going to need more than 1,000 to make it significant, but I do agree with Lennon that you might as well start off with the print on demand stuff from Teespring. What's the minimum eligibility requirements? Is that 10,000 subs to get that?
I don't know, but the other part of that is like, there are tons of other options. Teespring's not the only one, so you don't need to be integrated directly with YouTube to have a link by any stretch.
Right. So. Yeah. So I would say closer to 10,000 subscribers is kind of a very rough estimate of when we see that creators have figured out a thing or two about getting their audience to consume for free, and now are in a position to start figuring out, how do I now sell that value? So there's nothing wrong with having merch or something at 1,000 subscribers or lower or whatever. But you're probably not going to move as much product at that level as you would at like 10,000 when you figure out how to get people to consume. And then how to sell is the next lesson after that, which is, there's just so many different skills. If you want to be successful on YouTube, I mean, you got to be like a creator. You need to know how to edit. You need to know how to do graphic design for thumbnails and channel art. You need to know how to build a good brand and branding stuff. You need to have some storytelling things. You need to have some filmmaking, production things down. You need to know how to edit. You need to know how to create and start a business model. You need to know how to sell. You like all these skills. It's a lot, guys. And that's why we're here. Hopefully for you. I think we figured out a thing or three about it and have been helping a lot of people be successful with it as well. So we want to help you guys out the best that we can, whether it be through helping you on the initial steps with 30 days to a better YouTube channel, whether you've got 500,000, 1 million subscribers. I got a channel going through 30 days right now who has 2 million subscribers because they skipped a lot of that stuff and need to go back and build a stronger foundation so they can get momentum going again. So wherever you're at subscriber wise, it's more of like, do I feel like I'm getting momentum on YouTube? Yes. Then great. Let's get into a consultation and talk about next steps. If you feel like, I'm not getting momentum on YouTube, let's save you the money on a consultation and go do 30 days to better YouTube channel. That will definitely help unlock a lot of that for you guys. And of course, our podcasts and live streams are here. We're going to help you guys develop all those skills, mostly on the business side of how do I grow a YouTube channel, grow a business, reach more people, and change their lives. So thank you, Modern Day Tech. Oh, sorry.
I like Lily Tree says, you're making it all sound like work.
It is a lot of work. But it's fun work. It's like, yeah. Mr. M's. Oh, I see. I'm not encouraging you. Mr. M says, whoops, I missed it. Where'd it go? I just lost it. Oh,
you're making me tired.
Yeah, you're making me tired. There it is. Mr. M. Tim, you're making me tired. So much stuff. That's why it's like, that's why so many people quit, because they get into it thinking, oh, it looks so easy on the outside. All I have to do is have a really outgoing personality and a fancy camera and learn some editing techniques. It's like, well, those are good things, but you're going to need a lot more than that. So we're going to do our best to help you out with that best that we can. So thank you guys for hanging out, being a part of it. Thank you, Modern Day Tech, for moderating the chat and getting all these great questions in front of us so we could help people with our time here. And Lennon and I and Elena, I think, will be here next week. She's on vacation right now, but the three of us will be here to help you guys out next week. So looking forward to hanging out with you guys then. So thanks for hanging out. We'll see you guys next week.